Hello, my name is Carrie Brown, and today I'm going to be reading to you chapters 5, 6, and 7 of Arthur and the Comet Crisis, a Marc Brown Arthur chapter book. Text by Stephen Krensky, based on a teleplay by Peter Hirsch, published by Little, Brown and Company. Chapter 5. At dinner that night, Buster didn't eat very much. He wasn't just sitting at the table doing nothing, though. He had shaped his mashed potatoes into a ball and was dropping peas on it one at a time. "Buster?" He looked up. "Yes, Mom? Why are you doing that?" Buster frowned. "Doing what?" His mother sighed. "You keep dropping peas on your mashed potatoes, and every time the pea hits, you make this exploding sound." "I do?" She nodded. "Brrr, or something like that. One time for every pea." Buster looked down and counted. There were 12 peas stuck in his mashed potatoes. "Mom, do you know what would happen if a comet hit the Earth?" Mrs. Baxter thought for a moment. It would depend on its size and where it hit. There would be a giant explosion when the comet hit either the ground or the water. In the ocean, there would be a follow-up tidal wave for sure. A large explosion in the ground could raise a dust cloud bigger than the biggest skyscraper. This dust could be blown by the wind, blocking the sunlight like a blanket. Would it last a long time? It might. Some of the dust thrown up by volcanoes has taken years to settle down again. If the dust stayed up long enough, it could lead to another ice age. Some people believe that a comet colliding with the Earth over 60 million years ago is what caused the dinosaurs to die out. Why do you ask? "Oh, just curious." Buster got up calmly and walked into the kitchen. He replayed the telescope's computer's words in his mind. The object at right ascension 3.6 hours plus 20 degrees will collide with Earth in 5 weeks. Then he dumped his silverware in the trash and put his empty plate in the refrigerator. He had thought about going back to the telescope for another look, but somehow he didn't seem to have enough energy to make the trip. Buster knew he must have spent the evening doing something, but he couldn't remember afterward what it was. All he remembered was that it took him a really long time to put on his pajamas. In the end, he only got it right after he realized he had been repeatedly trying to put on the bottoms over his head. He did remember looking out the window and noticing how peaceful everything was. The trees, the park, even the sidewalk seemed so solid and comfortable. And the whole time he kept on murmuring to himself, "The comet is coming, the comet is coming." When his mother came in to kiss him goodnight, he barely noticed. She asked if he was feeling sick, but he just said no. There was no point in worrying her, not yet anyway. Then he lay on his side and stared at his wall, which was fading in and out as he got more and more tired. "The comet is coming, the comet is coming," he said softly for the 100th time, and then he fell asleep. Chapter 6. In the Oval Office, the president was sitting behind his presidential desk. How he wished he could put the desk in the corner. He liked corners, but there weren't any in the Oval Office, so he had to make do. The desk was covered with a lot of presidential stuff, but President Baxter wasn't paying much attention to it. A general stood before him. "Mr. President, the latest figures predict that the comet will hit the Earth in only 1 hour. The president swiveled in his chair to look out the window. "All of our defenses, have they been—" "We tried, Mr. President, believe me. Our greatest scientists, led by the brain, made this their top priority." "Ah, yes, the brain thinks he knows so much." "There's a reason for that, sir," said the general. "Oh, really?" said President Baxter. "What is it?" "It's because he really does know so much." President Baxter walked back to the window. "And did it help? All this knowledge he supposedly has?" "No, sir, I'm afraid not. Under his direction we sent up everything we had. None of it worked. The comet is just too big, too powerful. Then we have only one chance." The general came to attention. "Yes, sir. Bionic Bunny is standing by, waiting for your order. Send him now." Far out in space, Bionic Bunny raced toward the comet. He could still hear the words of the president ringing in his ears, how it was up to him to save the world once again. At the great speed he was traveling, he came up to the comet quickly. It was just beyond the last traces of Earth's atmosphere. The view even made him pause. The comet was huge, massive. Bionic Bunny felt like a bug facing the biggest windshield in the universe. Still, he did not hesitate. The whole world was depending on him, and he was not about to let everyone down. "It's now or never," he said. Clenching his fist, he flew up to the comet and tried to break it into smaller pieces. But the comet was so cold, so frozen, that it withstood his mighty blows. Bionic Bunny then tried to push against the comet, trying to change its direction. The comet stayed on course. "Can't give up yet," he groaned. But the comet paid no attention. "Too much forward momentum, but I'm not done with this overgrown snowball yet." He flew around to the back of the comet, grabbed the comet's tail, and pulled. "Yes, it's slowing down!" Just then the International Space Station passed by, and one of its solar panels got snagged on Bionic Bunny's cape. It yanked him away and allowed the comet to resume its plunge toward Earth. "No!" he cried, but out in space, no one could hear him. Chapter 7. At school the next morning, some of the students arrived on their bikes. As always, they parked them in the racks, took off their helmets, and went inside. When Buster got to school, he was wearing his bike helmet too. But he didn't head for the racks because he didn't need to. He wasn't riding his bike. A few kids on the playground stared at him as he passed by. "What's up, Buster? Not feeling so safe today?" "Earth to Buster! Come in, Buster!" None of these comments drew any replies. In fact, it wasn't clear that Buster even heard them. He was too tired from remembering each and every moment of his dream. He had awakened after Bionic Bunny had been pulled away from the comet, so he had not seen what had happened next, but he could imagine. And if he had slept again afterward, he hadn't slept well. Inside Mr. Ratburn's classroom, Buster stumbled to his seat and sat down. "Psst! Buster!" Buster looked up. Arthur seemed to be speaking to him, but why was he whispering, "Your bike helmet"? Buster frowned. "What about it?" It's still on." "Oh." Buster took off his helmet. "Are you all right?" Arthur asked. "You look kind of funny." Buster grabbed Arthur's sleeve. "Don't panic, Arthur, but a comet is coming." "Coming? Coming where?" "Here," said Buster. "Planet Earth. There's going to be a big explosion, another ice age, lots of stuff will be wiped out. Pass it on." Arthur tried to keep his mouth from dropping open too far. "Okay," he said. At recess, Arthur walked up to Fern. "Did you hear the news about the comet?" "Yup." She looked in her notebook. "I'm keeping track of all the facts. Strange headgear in the classroom. A belief that the sky is falling. I hate to say this, Arthur, but Mrs. Marbles would conclude that Buster has finally lost his cookies. He's definitely upset, that's for sure." Arthur looked around. "Uh-oh. I don't think he's done yet." Buster had climbed to the top of the monkey bars and was calling for everyone's attention. "Listen up, people! A comet is coming! It will destroy a lot, maybe even us! We need a plan and fast!" For a moment the students looked at Buster without moving. Then the moment passed and they all went back to whatever they were doing before. "Didn't you hear what I said?" The kids went on playing. "Hey, this is serious!" Yeah, comet's coming," said one kid. "I can't wait to tell the Tooth Fairy." Everyone laughed. Buster looked shocked, wounded. Nobody was listening to him. It wouldn't be long before they would have to listen because the comet would be darkening the sky. But by then, it would be too late. Thank you. Join us next week for chapters 8, 9, and 10. Goodbye.